Hi there and welcome to this course on how to establish a successful SEO career. My name is Alex Kinedinik. I've been doing SEO for the last 20 years and I've been teaching SEO for the last 10 plus years with over 100,000 students, and I've helped many people get freelancing jobs and get SEO jobs at large companies. So in this course, I'm going to walk you through how to get SEO experience if you're starting with no experience. I'm going to show you the kind of certificates you can get. I'm going to show you what kind of things to put on your resume. I'm going to show you the important things to know today to become a successful SEO job candidate and get the SEO jobs or freelancing gigs and beat out many of the people you're competing with for that job. We'll also go over your actual SEO job search, and I'm going to show you how to create your resume. I'm going to show you where to post it, what kind of job sites can be good, and I'm actually going to walk you through the different kinds of job interview questions so that you can impress and get your SEO job. So this course is a complete A through Z walkthrough of exactly how to get that job, including everything. Resume writing, job interview questions, how to look for the job, what kind of certificates to get, everything you need in order to take your SEO knowledge and use it to get a job. And I'll also talk about, of course, the kind of knowledge you should acquire and the kind of experience you should acquire so that you know exactly where to look and what to do and what to study and practice so that you turn yourself into a successful candidate. So welcome to this course, and let's begin. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you can expect from an SEO career. The question most commonly asked is, how much money can I make? I mean, the question you should ask is, how good can I become? How can I serve my company that I'll work for or clients? But okay, the question that actually comes up is how much money I can make. So you generally can expect to make a middle class salary, generally below an engineering salary. Of course, there are SEO jobs anywhere in the world. Every single country on earth has SEO jobs, so it's impossible for me to tell you what your salary might be, but it's generally below an engineering salary by 20 to 30%, sometimes more, again, depending on so many details. Essentially a middle class salary. Now, it doesn't sound so amazing, ooh, middle class. Although for many people, that's good. It's a steady, good job. It's not an extraordinarily hard job, and it can be a safe job where you know what to expect and you'll have job security. But actually, you can really make a lot more money because the work is extremely flexible and you can do the work from anywhere in the world. Sometimes your company might want you to be local, but very often you can be remote. And so you can get additional freelancing jobs on the side. So yes, your job may pay a certain amount and you should devote your full energy and attention towards that because your employer is going to want you to do that. And you should do it anyway. You should make your main employer happy as your number one priority in your career. If they're paying you, of course, you should do a good job and not get too distracted by side jobs, which can feel exciting. Ooh, more cash. But don't forget that you're working for your main job. Nevertheless, you have the flexibility to take on additional projects. And so with that, the potential becomes really high because if you can find enough freelancing clients, you can hire your own SEO marketers to work under you so that you don't actually do the work, but those SEO marketers do the work. Of course, that's not something that happens overnight, but that's a vision that's relatively realistic. Especially as you become better and better SEO because you get experience from your job, you're able to manage more junior SEO marketers. Additionally, SEO is a very practical skill to learn, and it's been like that for me because any business idea I've started before, I've used that skill of SEO to promote any business idea I've ever had. And that's an advantage you'll always have over others. So not only can you get a job and additional secondary projects, but you can also promote any business idea that you have better. You don't have to rely on anyone else. You're going to be good at SEO, which will be a major advantage. So those are all great things and things that can take your salary from a middle class salary to a very high salary potentially. With one caveat, the industry is evolving. There's all kinds of AI happening. Every year somebody says SEO is dead, and then other people are wondering, is it really dead this time? And it is an industry that's undergoing a lot of change at the moment, but so is every industry because of AI. If you want a really safe job that doesn't change, I can say go into accounting. But even accounting is changing, and even bookkeeping is undergoing some change due to AI. So can't escape it. But anyway, SEO is an industry that's always been in some flux. Maybe there's more flux in it now, but there's always been some fluctuation. The question really is if you can keep learning, relearning skills, and evolve with the industry, like new AI tools come out, instead of going like, oh no, I don't want to learn any more tools. If you're one of the first people to learn all the latest and greatest tools, as annoying as it might sometimes be to have to keep learning and relearning, sometimes you don't want to keep on learning things that you just learned and you have to relearn again. It's not what you wish maybe, but if you can do that, you'll get ahead of 95% of the industry and you'll turn yourself into a top performer and a top professional in your industry and grow your career rapidly. So by being open and being one of the first people to learn about everything that's coming around and everything that's new, this is how, instead of being a victim of changes in the industry and maybe losing a job, this is actually how you get better and better jobs and higher paying clients because you're a top expert who learns and stays ahead of the curve. This is true in the SEO industry, and this is true in just about any industry. So be that person rather than a victim of change, and you'll be just fine. If you're looking for an SEO job or a freelancing gig, and you're going through interviews and people are asking you questions, your knowledge of SEO must be completely current and up to date on what's cutting edge in SEO today. So in this video, I'm going to lay out the current SEO environment so that you are completely up to date on what's going on. So if you're ever asked a question about the current state of SEO or something that's happening now, that you have a really good answer for your job interview. And to understand where it's going, let's look at where it was for the last 20 years. Here's an example of a search. Let's use a fun example: best chocolate chip cookie recipe. Traditionally, as a Google user, you would expect to see quote-unquote blue links. Here's one website, you scroll down, here's another website, here's another website, another. This is going away. How slowly or quickly it's going away depends on a number of factors, including the query itself, but also Google's mood at the time, because different people get different search results. And so what you actually get are search results that look a little closer to these. Here I searched for top video game releases. The search itself is nearly arbitrary, but what you get as a result is something pretty familiar. If you've been using Google recently, an AI overview. This is an AI answer. So this is an answer that Google put together for me in this case. Now, if I scroll down, you see pretty far down there are the blue links, but not so fast, because there's this dive deeper in AI mode. And if I click that, it takes me entirely out of that a whole entire blue links interface. I can search more elaborate queries here because I get a bigger search box here. And so you see there are almost no more blue links. Yeah, there are some on the right side and they may go away, and you might get some links here like references, which is great, but nothing like before. And this particular paradigm is where we are going. So traditional SEO, where you want to rank your website and maybe have your website appear in one of the top 10 Google search results, that's no longer the goal because that's going away. And mentally, that's a big adjustment because SEO marketers have been trying to rank their blue links for a couple of decades already. So we all have to readjust now. And the readjustment towards which we are headed looks something like this. It's no longer the very short queries like 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 words, but it's more like this. Who is the best online instructor for personal development that teaches in a nice way and doesn't have a bad accent and is good for beginners and blah, 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 and this and that? Because searchers are now using search more like a person, because searchers now understand that AI is smart enough to handle that. And searchers also understand that they need to be ready for a back and forth dialogue. Like, for example, here, you might get some search results, Here are some teachers and professors that Google found. This is an AI answer, you see, AI overview. So as SEO marketers, we want AI to recommend us. And we don't care if the AI is Google AI or ChatGPT AI, because people are searching on ChatGPT, people are searching on Claude. We just want the AIs to recommend us. Now, let's discuss what is the mechanism for them to recommend us. That path is well understood. It may not be easy to implement, but it's well understood. And this whole process now has a few names. You might hear a name like AI SEO. You might hear a name like LLM SEO. I find that the easiest way to teach this is to break this down into two phases. One is to teach AI about your brand, and the second phase is to let AI recommend you in the answers. You don't have a lot of control over the second part because that's the AI's job to take all of its information and create answers for people. But you have a lot of input and a lot of control in how you teach the AI. Now, traditionally, we have taught the AI by curating content on our websites, like targeting keywords, creating content. If you've done SEO before, you're probably very familiar with that process. The difference is, and actually the difference has been for a while, that you can't just say about yourself that you are great. You also have to have your colleagues and your clients echo that sentiment. And Google has a very useful concept, EAT. E stands for expertise, A stands for authority, T stands for trust. So yes, you can have expertise through which you create content on your site, but you also have to have outside authority and trust. So it's not enough for you to say you're great on your own website. Like I mentioned, that sentiment has to be echoed elsewhere. So on social media, on other websites, your website has to be mentioned, like your brand has to be mentioned, and your website has to be linked to. So you're probably wondering, okay, great, but what do I have to do differently? Let me actually explain exactly what you have to do differently. In the past, I used to teach SEO in 3 phases, and I found that students had a very easy time understanding those phases. Let me go over them and explain how they are different now. So you always used to have as phase 1, keyword research. Like let's say your website is all about selling soccer supplies. Well, the keywords have to do with soccer supplies, like soccer supplies, soccer uniforms, soccer balls, etc. Now, that's still similar. You're still targeting the same things. You're still selling the same things. But it's not as strictly about the keywords exactly, but more broadly concept. Do you have to forget all the keywords? No. But you just have to not be so focused specifically on keywords, but be focused on broader topic coverage. So that part of SEO is still pretty much similar. Now, the second part of SEO was always on-page SEO, which was the process of taking the keywords you researched and then creating content on your website about those keywords. So for example, if you were going to try to target a keyword like soccer supplies, you really wanted to have the best pages, most informative, best photos, long form content with blog posts, best content about that topic. That is still the same because the on-page curation and how you lay out your content and how you structure everything on your website, that's going to help Google SEO and the AI engines crawl and understand your website better. So the more organized and the more clear the content on your website is, the better. And that's still 95% similar to traditional on-page SEO. Now, the thing that's most impacted is the third phase of SEO, the off-page SEO. Traditionally, that used to be known as link building. You used to have to go out to a bunch of different websites and somehow, by begging or paying or whatever else methods, of course, you know better not to pay. That's just a little SEO insider joke. But it was a difficult process. And traditionally, the more links you used to get and the better they were, the higher your website used to rank. This is still true, except a lot of the old offline SEO methods no longer work. For example, like if you're doing spammy, manipulative tactics, they no longer work and they're more likely to get you penalized or at least in the doghouse of Google. Whereas today, if you do your off-page right, like get publicity, get the right kind of attention for something great that you're doing, get real recognition from clients and peers, in addition to the great things that you say about yourself, you're going to outperform most of your competitors, even the big ones. So the question becomes, how do you get this amazing publicity? Well, because of this challenge, I put some courses that I used to have as paid courses for free on YouTube. Let me show you how to get to them. As you can see, here's a course, full course, how to get publicity and press coverage. This is about 5 hours long. So it's literally a full course that's now free on YouTube. In the resources of this video, I'll have the link to this. So you can come here, save it. The methods here really work. It will get you up to speed in how to get publicity in a professional way. Similarly, this course here, full course, personal branding and online reputation. Same thing, very long course because it's like a lot of content, 7 hours altogether. But you will learn exactly how to build up your personal brand. So if you have to build up a personal brand, this video is the right one for you. If you have to build up a corporate brand, this video is the right one for you about getting publicity. And if you follow the methods in these videos, they will get you to the SEO promised land of 2026 and beyond. This is the game today. So there's nothing unknown. I've laid out everything. It's all free. And again, I'll have the links to these videos in the resources of this video. Very easy to access. Of course, I'll also link to my top SEO courses that are paid. So you can take my top SEO courses, which are always updated with the latest SEO information. So you never have to wonder, is this correct? Is this not? I keep it very updated. For example, on Udemy, if you search for SEO, my course is the #1 course. And if you search for something a little bit more specific, like LLM SEO, which is the AI SEO, my course is the #1 for that topic as well, right here. So I'll have the links to all of them in the resources of this video. And the last thing I really wanted to show you is some searches that I did with ChatGPT. I want to show you how ChatGPT is working and why publicity is so important. So here I searched, who are the best teachers for personal development? I teach a lot of personal development, by the way, so I thought it would get close to mentioning me, but look at who it gave me. Dale Carnegie, not a teacher, very famous, not a teacher. He's an author, yes, but not a teacher. Stephen Covey, author, not a teacher. Napoleon Hill, author, not a teacher. James Clear, great author, not a teacher. Tim Ferriss, podcaster, author, not a teacher. Do you see the trend here? They're picking out the most famous, not the most accurate to my search. And I see this pattern a lot. And this is why I gave you this suggestion. Take the publicity course, take the personal branding course, because AI and ChatGPT at the moment, they are overcorrecting to the fame. They're giving you less of an accurate actual answer and giving you more famous individuals. Remember this concept. Expertise, authority, trust, they are really pressing on this because they're getting the most trusted names, the most authoritative names, and they're overcorrecting with that. That's why today, if you want to succeed in SEO, you also want to overcorrect in your marketing and focus on building your own brand's trust and authority and expertise. So the examples I gave you are anecdotal. They're not a study of 1,000 examples, but I constantly keep an eye out for what kind of results I'm getting, and it's a trend. AI is almost always overcorrecting to the fame and recognition, in other words, authority, and that's what you have to build up for yourself. If you do, you can ride that wave of getting AI to promote you in 2026 and beyond. If you're applying for any kind of an SEO position now, prepare to be bombarded by questions that have to do with AI, artificial intelligence, and various techniques that employ AI in SEO. And a very common talking point and a common question you should expect and prepare for is, what is agentic SEO? And how would you prepare our company for it? Or how would you use agentic SEO if you were to get hired? This is the kind of a question you have to have a good answer for. Now, if your answer is like, I don't know what is agentic SEO, that's kind of a fail. But let me explain to you how to become the top 1% candidate with the right answer. But of course, before we do that, we have to understand what is an SEO agent, because agentic means agent. So the term agentic is referring to an SEO agent. So what's an SEO agent? An AI agent is an autonomous piece of software that runs without human interference and just does what it's told and just performs the tasks that it's told to do. The tasks when it comes to SEO might be content creation, keyword research, link building, and any other work you can automate with software. So you basically tell the agent, hey, do this task for me and never stop, or stop after you get 100 backlinks, or stop after you build 1,000 pages. So that's that software. Now, the question becomes, how can you take advantage of it? When you're at a job interview, your potential employer is going to want you to be able to take advantage of all the latest and greatest so you can get the company ahead when it comes to SEO. That's going to be your job, or at least a big part of your job. That's what they're hoping from you if you're an A player. They don't want to hire a C player, somebody mediocre. They want to hire a go-getter who's going to drive the company forward and think proactively about what are the latest and greatest techniques and tools that they can use to move the company forward. So the immediate and pretty easy solution and idea you can come up with is just look up and search for agentic SEO software companies. Sign up for their free trials and use them. Now, granted, they're a little pricey. A lot of them are for B2B, so it's not so easy sometimes to just create an account for free. But this is a standard approach. It's kind of a no-brainer. You don't need me for this necessarily, but what I'm here to do is offer you something better. There's a much better option, and I would call this like the ninja rockstar option. If you really want to be smart and savvy, here's what you would do. It's not for everybody, but this is for the smart and savvy and for the go-getters. Today, there's nothing preventing you from building your own agentic SEO. What you can do is use no-code AI tools like Replit or Claude to write all the automation code for you and automate some small part of the SEO work. The reason you start small is because everybody starts small, get something to work, and then add features as you go on. You don't have to create a tool that does everything, but just at least one useful thing and automate that. If you can do that, and by using Replit and Claude, it might take you a couple of weeks to a month to come up with something really good, you can actually commercialize that and create a business out of it by selling this software to all kinds of small businesses and SEO marketers, because now you've created your own super fancy SEO agent. A couple of years ago, this was impossible if you wanted to do this because you would have to pay developers so much money and maintain it. Today, the costs are absolutely minimal and you don't have to learn programming. And whether you commercialize this or not, this can be an incredible and unmatched resume piece. If you say on your resume that you created an SEO agent, people who are in the know will be so impressed by that. And this will immediately put you in the top 1 percentile of all job candidates, because nobody is creating their own SEO agents, even though today it's nearly trivially easy. Not totally easy, but compared to how hard it actually is if you programmed it, super doable. And by the way, I really know this path well because over 10 years ago, I used to be a software engineer. And at that time, mobile apps were becoming really hot and popular. This is over 10 years ago now. And I wanted to level up my skills and learn mobile app development as a software engineer back then. And I did that by creating my own mobile app. And then that mobile app got commercialized, it made money, and actually became the foundation of my business today because that mobile app was kind of a business training app, which evolved into me making videos and et cetera, and then selling courses. So I've actually lived this path and it's really effective and has high potential. So this is how, instead of just answering questions about what is agentic SEO, you can say on the job interview, I've built or I am building an agentic SEO package. Do you want to see? Do you want to talk about it? Because this will really position you as somebody passionate and super knowledgeable about SEO and a really good potential candidate to get hired. Now, I want to share the number one worst answer in just about any kind of a marketing interview, but honestly, almost any kind of interview in general. And that answer would go along the lines of, nothing has changed. You may be asked something like, what kind of an impact has artificial intelligence or any other technology made in your industry? It might be in the SEO industry. It might be in digital marketing in general. It might be some technology. It doesn't even have to be AI, but some important technology in some industry. It's almost like fill in the blanks. If your answer is along the lines of nothing has changed or there are not so many changes, things are mostly the same, you can be rest assured that things constantly change. And what your answer actually shows is not that things haven't changed, is that you are the one who's not aware of the changes. This tells a lot about your knowledge, because it's nearly impossible that with technology moving at such a rapid pace and all industries evolving so rapidly that nothing has changed. It's always much more likely that you're just not aware of the changes. And this creates a really bad impression, because the implication is that you don't learn much on your own or at companies, and you don't stay ahead in your field. And professionals always have to stay ahead in their fields. Now, there are many questions to which your answer may be, I'm not sure and I don't know. This is actually infinitely better. First, it's honest with the interviewer, but also with yourself. And second, it gives you the option to say, I'm not sure, but I'm in the process of looking into it at the moment. I understand the importance of this technology or this software. I want to be fully transparent. I'm not 100% sure about the answer now, but I will look into it and get back to you about it. Or I will look into it because this is very high on my priority list. This is better, because it's really always better to be transparent and honest than coming across totally clueless and as somebody who's just not up on what's going on in the industry. So I want to offer you a template, almost like a fill in the blanks, for how to answer this kind of a question if it ever comes up. The first thing you want to do is acknowledge the changes. You might say, here are the changes. It might be AI, it might be something else, but you have to be aware of the changes. Then you have to be aware of the top tools and strategies that work today with those changes. And then what you can say is, here's how I would use these top tools and strategies to get ahead, or to help your company get ahead if we were to work together. See, not only do you show that you know what's going on, but you're also painting a picture of how you could actually help this company at which you're interviewing with precisely these technologies. That's the best answer. And it's even better if the person interviewing you hasn't really looked into it too much themselves and the information you're telling them is relatively new. Then they will be impressed. As opposed to, for example, when somebody tells me, oh, nothing is new, then it tells me, no, it's just you have not been thinking about it deeply enough and you haven't dug into it deeply enough, because everything is really, really new and all the time new things are popping up. And that's how you tell a lazy brain. Because as an employer, you don't want to hire somebody with a lazy brain who checks out at the end of the day. You want somebody who's passionate about the work. And this kind of a question is a great way to tell what kind of an individual you're talking to. And of course, you want to be seen as the one who's on top of everything. So definitely know what's going on as the latest and greatest in your industry and have a great answer for how to actually use that. There are 3 ways you can make money by providing SEO services: as a freelancer, with an agency, or at a job. And whether you're applying for a job or maybe somebody is quizzing you about your knowledge when you're applying to work as a freelancer or trying to get a client with your agency, you're going to have some interview questions, perhaps. Not in all cases if you're a freelancer, but certainly if you're trying to apply for a job. So in this video, I'll go over with you some of the questions and answers that you're likely to get at a job interview so that you're prepared when you get them. Here's the first question. What SEO tools do you use? It's easy to get stumped by that because there are so many tools, but there are some tools that you should absolutely use. And these are the tools from Google: the Google Keyword Tool,
Google Analytics, and Google Search Console. And if you want to talk about third-party tools, you want to mention SEMrush because perhaps it's pound for pound the number one most popular SEO tool outside of the Google tools. You can also use the SEO Moz tool for that. SEO Moz is also very popular. And these two tools are something you should explore on your own, at least a little bit. And we do touch on them in the course as well. Now, what if somebody asks you about some tool that's less known? It's okay if you haven't used all the tools. There are very few SEO professionals who used all the tools, so you should just say, I'm not familiar with that tool, but I am familiar with SEMrush, which is the standard, and it has a lot of the features that other tools have, so perhaps there's a lot of overlap. So that way, you make up for not having used some specific tool while being honest and transparent at the same time. Let's look at another question. How do you make sure that your site isn't penalized? The answer to that is pretty straightforward. Don't buy links, create high-quality pages, and make sure to avoid a lot of duplicate content. Some duplicate content is okay, but a lot of duplicate content can get you in trouble. Also, you want to add to that, avoid stuffing keywords. Now let's look at another question. What's the difference between on-page SEO and off-page SEO? On-page SEO includes everything you can control and edit on your site, including the keywords you choose to target, how you structure your site, how you create your pages, what you write on them. And off-page SEO are things that are harder to control. They depend on external factors, like whether other website owners will link to your website, like whether other people will share your website on social media, those sorts of things. Everything that happens off your website is essentially off-page SEO. So the terms are actually self-explanatory. Let's look at another question. What is the role of backlinks and how important are they for SEO? For the longest time, backlinks were the number one ranking factor in Google search. They are still very important today and arguably still the number one ranking factor, although they're a little tiny bit less important because today other factors have taken on a bigger role. For example, like your site speed, like the expertise and authority of the website owner who's writing the content, and of course usability of your website and whether it's mobile optimized. So those factors are very important today, but link building is still extremely important and it must be a part of your overall SEO strategy, at least to some degree. You cannot neglect it. Here's another question. What is PageRank and what is domain authority? This is actually quite tricky and a lot of people don't understand how to answer this question. Today, neither of these is something that Google looks at. PageRank is something Google used to use many years ago to measure the authority of a site. You would be able to look it up. Since then, a lot of website owners obsessed about PageRank and Google had to stop using that, but other third-party software still use that to approximate a website's strength. So something like domain authority, that's something that SEO Moz made to approximate the authority of a website. It's a metric made by SEO Moz, not Google, but it closely approximates how Google would look at it. So again, it's not something to obsess over, but it's interesting and telling about how authoritative a website is. Now let's look at another question. What are metrics, or otherwise named KPIs, key performance indicators, you should monitor for SEO? So there are leading and trailing KPIs. Leading KPIs are things that happen before you rank higher. So if you improve your page loading speed, your website is not going to rank higher that same day, but it will maybe perhaps in a few days or a few weeks or a few months. So the speed of your website loading is a leading indicator of what will happen later. Also, bounce rates are one of those. Anytime you improve performance of your site, the usability of your site, that's actually good for SEO. And of course, you want to look at not only leading indicators, but, well, where are you ranking per keyword now? You must monitor your ranking per keyword and prioritize the lucrative keywords, right? So you want to look at which keywords are bringing you the best traffic, who buy and take the next steps with your business, and focus on that. So in an interview, I will talk about these metrics that you would monitor. Another question you might get is, what makes a website search engine friendly? And there are some factors. For example, having good content that smartly uses keywords, meaning not too many keywords, not stuffed, but also not too few, well-chosen keywords. Also making the site easily crawlable for Google so that it can discover all of your content easily, fast loading, and having good user experience and being mobile optimized. You see, by now you should see, a lot of these things repeat. Yes, they repeat because they should repeat, because they are the currently most accurate answers. And there's a benefit in this for you, in that, let's say you get a question that's not here, you can still answer it with these ideas because you have the foundation of the right way to do SEO. Now, let's look at another question. Should we do article spinning or buying expired domains with PageRank, or do blog commenting? These are all sort of gray area SEO tactics that you probably are better avoiding. For example, buying expired domains, that's when you buy exactly that, an expired domain that used to be owned by someone and they built up some SEO strength and links, and then you would just put a new website on that domain, and then that website presumably would have a higher chance to rank. Well, again, if it has PageRank, keep in mind that's an approximation given by some other tool. Probably Google internally is smarter than that, and so it probably wouldn't be that helpful. Now, regarding blog commenting, of course, you don't want to just do blog commenting as a spammer, but sometimes you can add to the conversation in an intelligent way that makes your brand look smarter, more authoritative, more professional, if your comment is actually good. So not spam mass commenting, but tasteful, helpful commenting that's actually good. And then if you really write a great comment, people might get curious. Well, who is that person who wrote such a great comment? And they might click on your name and then on your website, and then that might be a lead that's actually good because they started out by respecting you and appreciating what you wrote. Now let's look at another question. How would you do keyword research? Now this is a good one because unlike all the other questions so far, this question requires a different approach. You see, because every company you'll interview with, they'll be slightly different. So it's okay to have a standard answer, but I would challenge you to actually do much better than that, because you can actually research this company beforehand and do a little bit of their keyword research. So this answer, unlike other answers, can be very personalized. And if you find keywords that maybe they're not ranking for yet, that could be very lucrative for them, and actually suggest it right then and there, saying, it's a good that you asked that because I actually did the keyword research for your website before our meeting, and I found some very lucrative keywords that you can use that may not be hard to rank for, that can bring lucrative traffic who might become good clients. And here they are. And perhaps if I was to work for you, I can find many more because I'll have more time to spend on this. But I did put in a lot of time preparing for this meeting and already found a lot of things you can implement right now for your business. Now, if you were a hiring manager and somebody told you that, you would be really impressed. The person took the time and they were effective at finding opportunities. And of course, with this course, you can do really great keyword research because I spend a lot of time on this. Now, let's look at the next question. How would you do our link building? This is another one of those that's unique for different businesses. It's not a standard answer. So you have to research this company beforehand. But some things that can repeat across companies are doing blogger outreach for links, trying to get publicity to get links, networking with industry websites, and definitely mention that you would not buy links because you want to appear as a person who is honest, has integrity, and doesn't practice SEO strategies that are either outdated or would get your employer in trouble. Now let's look at a different question. What's really important for SEO today? You already know this. Keyword research, link building, EAT, expertise, authority, trust, that's EAT, load speed, mobile optimization, and good website usability so users can have a good experience on your site. These are the things that keep on repeating all the time. Sites that are ranking higher now do these things well. now let's look at another question. How can you create a lot of content quickly? And sometimes you'll get asked this sort of thing by employers or small business owners who might want to hire you as a freelancer because they do not want to write the content and they don't always want to spend a lot of money creating the content. So how can you create a lot of content quickly? That's a common question people have, but it's not the right mindset. So the question might be something along the lines of hire many experts. So it's not just one person creating content, but many people creating content concurrently. Or you want to really tell them, hey, it's not about a lot, it's about high quality. So actually, maybe this is a sign that they have some wrong strategy in mind, and you want to steer them away from the wrong strategy and say, hey, if we don't create a lot of content, but very, very good content about the most important things for us that get us the best clients, that might be the way to save money while getting equal or better results. And with that, let's move on to the next question, which is our last question in this series. It's kind of like a tricky style question. Sometimes you'll get asked questions by potential employers that don't particularly make sense. And sometimes it's because they're not that good at SEO and they're asking you something that they kind of heard somewhere. They don't know how to make sense of it, so they're asking you. These questions can be really tricky because they can stump us because we didn't expect them. Here's an example. This is like a real question that somebody from this course got on a job interview and then asked me, hey, how do I answer this? How can we use Pinterest to boost SEO? And you can get asked this kind of question in many different flavors, like how can you use LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook to boost SEO? Now, if I was to get asked this question, I would say immediately, I don't use Pinterest, and I especially don't use Pinterest for SEO. But social sharing overall, no matter the website, is important. You can get a lot of citations and brand mentions on social media, which is a positive search ranking factor to Google. But it's not the number one search ranking factor. So if you overfocus on this, you'll distract yourself from the most important ranking factors, like backlinks, like website load speed, etc. So unless Pinterest or other social media sites is already a part of your overall marketing strategy, don't get into it just for the SEO because it's a lot of work, because there are more effective tactics than focusing on social media just for SEO purposes. But if you're already doing the social media, the way to take advantage of it for SEO is to make sure that you're posting links to different pages of your site in posts that get reshared. Make sure that the posts are really high quality so that they in fact get reshared. Use hashtags for increased resharing. And in all the posts, not only post links, but also use relevant keywords, both in your posts, but also in the hashtags as well, so that Google can make sense. Hey, it's about topic X, the website is about topic X, the social media mentions are about topic X, it's all relevant, this site is more authoritative on topic X, that's a good sign. But don't get flustered by seeing some question that you've never seen before, because probably the person who's asking you, they just might not be quite knowledgeable about what they're asking. So if you clarify a question, ask them to explain it, maybe you'll help them to understand SEO better and they'll appreciate you for it. So those are just some of the common SEO questions. Now, there may be many other kinds of SEO questions. How do you anticipate all of them? I'll give you a great suggestion for how to anticipate hundreds of questions. Look at every title of every video of this course and think back to the content of those videos. Each one could be an interview question. So when you look at the titles of the lectures, think to yourself, am I confident about my knowledge in that subject? If not, you maybe want to rewatch it and do that for all the videos until you find yourself being confident about being able to answer all the questions, and then you'll be ready for any SEO interview.
Now, in this video, let's go over a common question you might get at an SEO job interview, which is, what are the top SEO tools that we should use? And immediately, you should have a distinction go off in your mind. Do they mean third-party SEO tools or SEO tools that are made by Google? You should ask this from whoever is asking you this question, because it's an important distinction. And even if the distinction doesn't exist in their mind, it should exist in your mind. You can always give a full answer and show them third-party tools and Google tools, but in this video, just to simplify it, I'm going to show you the most important Google tools that you should use for SEO. And in the next question, I'm going to show you the third-party tools that you should really know well, that are industry standard, that are expected knowledge on a job interview. So here, let's just go over tools that are made by Google. The first one is Google Analytics. If anybody has a website or a mobile app and they want to know what's going on their website or an Android mobile app, this is the tool. Now, there are other analytics packages, but this is the standard free one. It's very easy to create an account here and to set up your website. All you do is go to, in this case, marketingplatform.google.com/about/analytics, or you can just type into Google Analytics, and you'll see here, sign into Analytics. All Google's accounts are tied to your email addresses with Google, your Gmail, so you can just sign in. They're going to ask you to verify that you have ownership of the website or access to it at least. Then they're going to give you a code to put on your website just so they can see that you actually can verify, access, and edit that website. And then they'll give you access to analytics, after which you'll be able to tell who's visiting your website, how long are they spending on your website, do they like the content, do they just leave. You'll get a lot of insights about how to improve the usability and user retention of your traffic. Now, in addition to that, there is the Google Search Console tool. Don't worry about ever remembering URLs for Google tools because the URLs can be long. I just search for Google Search Console. Obviously, the first thing that comes up is it. You go start now. Again, like all the other tools, you'll have some verification processes. As you can see, this is my music website, and you'll see that I'm getting some traffic, and you can see various insights like which pages are doing well, which pages are trending up and down. What about how it looks like in search results? Like, for example, my top queries are like, let's say, poetic songs. So I can drill into that and I can see, the average search position is 7.5. That means I can do some work to rank it higher, meaning that if it's average position 7.5, then if I can get to be number one, I'll get more traffic, etc. So I can get my total impressions, clicks. So you can mix and match all this data really conveniently and really insightfully to see which pages are doing well, etc. So this really helps to understand the health of your website for SEO. Analytics tells you what people are doing once they're on your website. The Google Search Console tells you how well your SEO is performing. Now, the tool you want before that is the Google Keyword tool, which lives in the Google Ads package. The Google Ads is something you pay for, but the Google Keyword tool is something that is free. So all you would do is just, in my case, I go to ads.google.com. It redirects to a little bit of a cryptic URL. Doesn't matter. It's always accessible from ads.google.com. You click sign in, signs you into your account. I already have an account. If you don't have an account, it will take you through some setup steps. And what you really want is to go under tools, under planning, keyword planner. This is the tool we want. And here we can click on discover new keywords and look at the volume. For example, like if I'm in the business planning niche, I want to see how many people are searching for the keyword business plan. And then I'll scroll down and I'll see, 33,000 people are searching for this keyword, meaning there's a lot of demand and people who want a business plan. Sometimes they want it written for them, which is, a few $100s price to a 4-figure price sometimes. So it's good potential clients. And you can see, I should target that keyword, that kind of thing, right? And you would obviously go through all the different keywords and collect all the keywords for your website. Obviously, this is not a detailed tutorial for this tool, but I did want to point out the 3 most important Google made. These are free tools that Google provides that you should definitely know inside and out as an SEO marketer. If you don't know these tools inside and out, I have full courses on them that I'll link somewhere. It doesn't matter now, but you almost cannot have an SEO job without a deep understanding of these tools, because you would use them, if not every day, then every week for sure, and deeply as well. So these are really good tools to research and understand. And especially on the interview, you've got to answer all the questions about them. In this video, let's talk about the third-party SEO tools. These are tools that are not made by Google, that are industry standard, that you should be, if not
really good at using, at least deeply knowledgeable in. So the two tools that I want to show you are SEMrush. That's the number one most important tool today. That's not a Google tool, a third-party SEO tool, and Ahrefs. Now, there are also dozens and dozens other tools like Screaming Frog, and there's also many specialized tools like various AI tools for on-page, for off-page, for link building, for this, for that, for this. It's almost impossible to keep track because the smaller SEO tools, they just keep on popping up all the time doing something unique and special. You don't have to know all of them. It's impossible to know all of them, but at least the big ones. You should know the major tools. So let's look at what SEMrush can do for you. SEMrush is the priciest tool pound for pound. You don't have to buy an account. You can get a 7-day free trial and just use it a lot and learn it. And if you are really interested in digging into it, I have a way to extend the 7-day free trial to a 2-week free trial. It's essentially through an affiliate program. Obviously, it's not for making money for me here because you're not going to plan to stay with this longer. But on my website, Problemio, if you go to Problemio/SEMrush, it redirects to a page that actually gives you a 14-day free trial. For full disclosure, this is my affiliate program. Although, again, for full disclosure, you're probably not going to become a paying client to SEMrush, which means that I'm not going to get paid from you using my link, because I only get paid when people sign up for a paid account. So this is just for you to extend your free trial to 2 weeks so that you can learn this platform better. It's just an option. You don't have to use it. You can use the basic trial, but the basic trial is only 7 days. So in any case, I currently am not a paying customer. So what I would do is, for example, I would go to choose my music website, and you can tell a lot about this website, for example. So you would click on Get Insights, and SEMrush can tell you a million little bits of information about it. Here I have to just logging into a free account. So you see it's a very rich tool. Just look at all the different sections on the left side. It can give you keyword research. It can tell you all these things. They're also building a bunch of AI tools. It's really hard to go over it in detail, but you do get some basic information. Like you get to understand what the traffic is like. For some reason, I had a dip in traffic. My other tools don't show as much of a dip, but in any case, you can see there was growth, and then I kind of stopped paying attention to it recently for whatever reasons. Then you can see the keywords I'm targeting. So you can also do this for your competitor research. If you're ever asked, how do you do competitor research? Tools like SEMrush will tell you everything you want about just about any website. You see, I didn't have to have ownership of this website. So you can tell what other websites are targeting, what they're ranking for, and you can use those keywords to try to get your website to rank for valuable keywords. There's also like link building tools, all kinds of tools. It's really good to just go over it deeply on your own, just mess around with it, just to get that familiarity. But if you're asked about it on a job interview, you basically would answer that this is the primary tool to do keyword research, website analysis, website audit, all kinds of things. This is the tool for you, right? It has SEO, has AI tools for you, all kinds of things. So that's the feature set. And also, of course, the competitor research. And Ahrefs is the other tab I have open here, is a very, very similar tool, but they're kind of like number 2 in the industry. They're also very important. You may get asked about them. Just don't get stumped. They do a lot of almost identical things. If you're ever asked about comparing them side by side and you're not sure what the difference is, you can say that they're very similar, but you're just maybe not a big user of Ahrefs and you've used SEMrush before and that's the tool you know better. It's okay not to know because there's a lot of tools, but as long as you're proficient with at least one major tool, that's what the employer wants to hear. They do not want to hear that you don't have any experience with any tool. So that's the major overview of what's important in SEMrush. And if you do choose SEMrush, really do spend the time to put your own website through it, dig into it, look at the major features. Here, I had to rush through it because if I didn't rush through it, the video would get too long and too boring. But in your case, really look deeply about all the options. You see, you have all these things for local SEO, for content, for social, even ads. Maybe you're not specializing in ads, so you can leave that, that's fine. But all these things, and under all these things, there are all these features. Take the time, spend a day with it, but really get to understand it well so that you can impress on the job interview.
For SEO, the keyword planner is arguably the most important and the most confusing tool. So in this video, I want to go over the kinds of interview questions you might get about it so that you can be ready with smart answers. And a lot of the questions you might get about it may come from some confusion because you don't know if the person asking you is a deep expert at this tool or a cursory user. And if they're a cursory user, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions that are confusing because they're confused. You just have to get that person on the right path. But people can also ask you complex questions. So I'll start this video by going over a couple of questions that are commonly asked by non-experts. This might be a general marketing manager who's not an expert in SEO, or this might be just somebody else at a marketing department who's, again, not an expert in SEO. So let's start with that. Non-experts in SEO will be a little confused about, okay, they entered some keyword here. How do they know which keywords to target? What you want to explain to them is that every keyword has an underlying intent. For example, a person searching business plan writers, like I'm highlighting here, wants to hire a business plan writer. Are you certain that out of these 880 people who are searching that monthly, everybody wants to hire a business plan writer? It's never like that. Some people are confused. Some people are mistyping things. For some people, the phone is auto-suggesting and auto-correcting a different search than they intended to. But most of the people, you can kind of surmise that they want business plan writers, human writers, or software if they're searching for this. In the way this is phrased, it looks like they want human writers. So obviously, if your company can provide human writers to write business plans and can do that profitably, this is a great keyword. So the next question might be, how do you know if the volume is enough? Well, you just do the dollars and cents math. If you, let's say, 880 people search for this and you're number one, and it might take you some months or years to become number one, but once you're number one, let's say you get a 20% or 10% click-through from people searching, so that's about 100 people, let's say, landing on your page per month, maybe a little bit more because there's also long tail variations of this exact keyword that you'd also end up ranking for. And out of those people, and out of those 100 people, maybe 15 or 10 of them sign up, but it's a $2,000, let's say on average, sale. Well, that's 5 figures of revenue. Maybe you have some costs, so the profits are a little less, but it's pretty hefty there. It's not bad revenue, and so that's a good keyword to try to target. Obviously, if you don't offer business plan writing, that's a keyword you would bypass. You wouldn't target that because you couldn't serve the people who come to you. And so every keyword is examined in this kind of a common sense way to determine which are lucrative, meaning profitable for you. And the most profitable ones are the ones that get prioritized, provided that they are not too impossible and not too competitive to rank in Google for that keyword, because the most profitable keywords tend to be the most difficult to rank for. So the question becomes, this is the next question, how do you tell which keywords are profitable and which are not? Well, there's a number of ways to tell. One of them is to go to something like SEMrush, because that's a tool that's really good for competitor research, keyword research, etc. But also you can go and look at business plan writers. When you do that keyword search in just Google, you can see whether you're competing with multi-billion-dollar companies or multi-million-dollar companies, or here Fiverr, you're competing on Fiverr. Well, you can probably beat out Fiverr and Fiverr freelancers, right? So this may be a pretty good keyword to try to rank to because the competition is not insane. It's realistic. It's not easy, but it's not so hard that it's impossible. Also, they have local search results here, so you can rank locally in your local area for this. So these are the two ways. You kind of ballpark by looking at the actual search results, and then you use tools to also determine how competitive is this space. And also, of course, presumably, because you're in this space as a business, you should generally know which competitors are good ones and which are not. Now, as people get more advanced, you might get asked questions like, how should I create my content strategy based on the keywords I need to target? And then you can explain that keywords that have buying intent, for example, like this one, business plan writers, as a first priority, they should be targeted with a landing page, or sometimes called a sales page, so people can go there and actually buy. Queries that are more informational, like the second one here, business plan examples. These are people who want to learn about business planning, but we don't know if they want to hire a business planner. They just want to see examples. So this is more of an information inquiry. This is a keyword you might target with a blog post. You might also impress your interviewer by telling them, hey, this is not just about Google. We can also create YouTube content that will rank for these keywords in YouTube as well. So we're going to get much greater potential than just these keywords if we also do YouTube, and I can help with YouTube. But that's a secondary thing. So you see, the content strategy is find all the keywords that are relevant, that are potentially profitable, identify what kind of pages will target those keywords, and then create a priority list of when to create those pages. And over time, that's going to be your job. Creating these pages, ranking these pages, creating these pages, making sure they rank higher and higher. And when they rank higher and higher, that's going to mean that you're doing a great SEO job. So these are the kind of questions and issues that come up when talking about the Google keyword tool on a job interview. In this video, let's address the challenge of what would you put on your SEO job resume if you have no SEO experience. Let's say you're just learning SEO now. Maybe you've played around with SEO on your website, but you don't have experience serving clients. So in this video, I want to suggest a strategy that will get you paid to get experience. Usually, you have to scratch and claw and do it for free. But if you sign up for freelancing sites like Fiverr.com, which you see now, or Upwork.com, on which I am now, these are freelancing sites on which you can create an SEO freelancer profile, not necessarily to make money, although people will pay you, but to get experience. And the way you get experience here and get hired out of the thousands of SEO freelancers is to have really, really, really low fees. So the lowest fee that you can charge is exactly what you charge, because you're not after the money, although you actually will get paid to learn and paid to practice and play around on other people's websites, which is actually a really nice thing to do. But don't get it confused. You're not here for the money. You're here for the experience. And as an added bonus, you're going to get a little bit of cash. And if you really are hungry and perform well, the people who hire you will keep on hiring you, and for higher rates over time. So over time, you actually can make reasonable money here, but keep in mind, this is just to build up your SEO experience so you can have a better SEO resume. And you can offer many different kinds of services. In fact, I recommend that. The first service might be SEO keyword research. The second service might be SEO link building. The third service might be using AI to create content and manage all that. Local SEO. All the skills you have for SEO, I would recommend to create on Fiverr. They're called gigs. Different services essentially that you can offer so that people can find you through it. And if, let's say, this person is like $100, this one's $65, this one is like $350, and you are starting at $5, many people will give you a chance. And a chance is all you really need if you're hardworking, because then you can prove yourself and you're off to the races. In fact, you'll never have to stop promoting yourself on these freelancing sites if you get them to work well for you, because they can be a consistent source of revenue for you. But with one caveat: if you provide an amazing service. If you provide an amazing service, the customers who come from here, who appear as though they may be cheap because freelancing is generally discounted, people can pay if you provide enormous value, but people don't pay even if they can if you don't provide enormous value. Usually, freelancers think, oh, the clients are the problem. But the reality is you make as much as the value you create for people. So if you become a great freelancer, this will not only earn you money to get experience, but actually will be your source of regular steady income and a source of consistently getting leads for SEO business. So if you're trying to get an SEO job, literally today, create your profiles on Fiverr, on Upwork, fill them out with all the details, make them nice, make them as discounted as possible to show that you're hardworking and you're hungry, and people will give you a chance and you'll start getting valuable experience. In this video, let's discuss the actual process of going out there and getting a job. And of course, it starts with a resume. Today, you would never start by typing a resume by hand. You would ask AI. So actually, our job search process starts with AI and ChatGPT. Here's a prompt that I used. It's a very basic prompt. You can copy this prompt or you can elaborate on it. So let's read it together. Write a resume for an SEO job, and then you give it your experience. This is fictitious. You might say, I worked for 2 years at company X. Obviously, you would replace whatever that project is. Maybe it's a personal project. Maybe you worked at some company, whatever. And then you go on saying, doing link building and SEO keyword research. And I've taken an SEO course online and have a certificate. Of course, you would give it more information about your background so that it can fill out the resume. In my case, I just wanted to do this quickly so you can see. You might also say, I'm looking for a job in England or United States or India, because the resume requirements are different everywhere a little bit. And obviously, the more background about yourself that you give this, the better the resume will come out. And in a minute, here's what happened. You have your resume all written out for you. Perfect. You can copy and paste this or ask AI to just give you a downloadable PDF. Obviously, you would go and fill out your name and all your personal information, which obviously I don't know what that might be, so I left it blank. But in your case, you might just tell the AI, my name is so-and-so, I live here, here's my address, and it will actually fill in those blanks here, so you actually don't have to do any writing. Once you have your resume, you would go on a job website like ZipRecruiter. On ZipRecruiter, if I just go to their homepage, the homepage is tailored for employers. So since you're a job seeker, you would click on job seekers and search jobs. I already did that. So for example, I searched in my local area, SEO in Pasadena, California, very basic. And as you can see, it gave me a bunch of jobs that are out there. Some of them don't make sense, like outside sales representative, but many of them make sense, like local SEO project manager. Great. You'll notice it for an agency, for doing agency work. We'll touch on that in a little bit. But here's AI technical SEO specialist, senior search engine optimization manager at some company, then an SEO analyst, remote job. So you can actually go and apply to these jobs one by one. You can also post your resume on job sites like this. ZipRecruiter is one, Monster.com is another one. Here's Monster.com. You also have Indeed.com. These are for the United States job market. Again, if you're looking somewhere else, like maybe you live in Japan, I don't know what websites are popular for job seekers in Japan, but just search Google for biggest job sites in Japan for marketing jobs and you'll find it. So the exact websites don't have to matter. You just have to find those for your local area, but the process is the same. You just find job sites for your local area, upload your resume here, and apply to individual jobs that employers have posted. Now, also, you might want to go to Google and search for SEO agency. You might search by a local area, like Los Angeles or something, or you might search just in general. And what you'll find are top agencies. Guess what top agencies do? They hire SEO freelancers to do the actual work for clients. So some of the biggest employers of SEO marketers are agencies. You may not want to work for an agency, but if you do, that route is totally possible. If you don't, if you want an SEO job at some company, you can go through the list of Fortune 5000 companies, and you can find them very easily just by searching for them, and go to each of their websites and apply for an SEO marketer job. It's time consuming, of course, but that's why you're doing the automated work before, like applying to job sites. And then once you apply to job sites, your daily work is to just apply to the individual large businesses. You don't want to apply to small or mid-sized businesses because very often they actually don't have a dedicated SEO marketer job. It's probably they have a larger role like a digital marketer. So if you're looking for something specifically with SEO, you're probably going to get better pay, better benefit, more stability with larger companies. And of course, larger companies are ones you're going to put on your resume later, so they look better on your resume. So the future job you're going to get is going to be much better because you might get a job at a Fortune 5000 known brand, and that's going to give you a lot of credibility and relevant experience. Additionally, what you can do is go to local networking events. And at local networking events, there are professionals there, and if you tell them, hey, I'm looking for an SEO job, they may know someone else who might know someone else who works in a marketing department, and they might be hiring. So that's also a great way to find potential places where you might get hired as an SEO marketer. And of course, feel welcome to post on your LinkedIn and Facebook that you're looking for an SEO job, because very often your contacts and friends may also know someone. So that's a good place to start as well. So these are all the resources that you can use starting on day one of your job search. These are all very viable and good practice things to do that will help you get an SEO job. This is the last video of this course, so congratulations on completing the course, and thank you. Thank you for choosing this course in the first place and making it all the way through until the end, and for your dedication. Now, because of your dedication, I want to suggest a great next course after this one. I created one of the best SEO courses in the world, and it's the SEO Masterclass I'm showing on the screen now. It's also a very long and comprehensive course. As you can see, it's 19 hours of content, and it has everything: keyword research, on-page SEO, off-page SEO, SEO with artificial intelligence, a new trend in SEO called LLM SEO, which is a strategy for how to get ChatGPT to actually promote your business. And anytime there's a new trend in SEO, I update this course with it. This course always has the latest and greatest with SEO strategies. So as a next step, I strongly recommend this SEO Masterclass. It will turn you into a fantastic SEO marketer. And in case you have the Udemy for Business account, where your company pays for your course access, you actually already have access to this SEO course for free included in that, so there's no additional cost. So to enroll, just search for the course by this name. You'll find it, enroll, and you can begin taking it the same day. Now, if you're not a Udemy for Business student and you have to pay out of pocket, I have great news for you. What I want to do is offer you a discount to this course. If you want to get this course for the cheapest price possible on Udemy, just send me a private message on Udemy and I'll send you a discount link that discounts this course to the cheapest price that Udemy allows. Now, the discount codes and links expire quickly on Udemy, so I can't just post one in the resources of this video because it will keep on expiring. So that's why if you'd like to take this course next, simply just send me a message on Udemy and I'll be happy to create a discount code for you that will give you access to this course for the cheapest price that is possible. Especially if you enjoy learning from me, then I love having you in my courses. And I hope my courses bring you a lot of value.